New York Mets are attempting to trade for a pitcher within their own division. That will not be easy. We have the latest on Cody Bellinger and what the market is, how another team now, according to John Heyman, has brought themselves back into the mix, a former team for Cody Bellinger. But before we get into these reports, all things New York Mets, offseason, David Stearns, whatever we're doing New York Mets, guys, on this channel, share, like, subscribe, get on board because it is going to be a fun season with the New York Mets. I believe they will compete. I believe David Stearns will get a team out there. It is just a matter of time. We got about 5-6 weeks until pitchers and catchers report. Opening day will be here with the sun shining faster than you know it. I want to get into these two reports that came out today. Don't want to be one of those pages that just throw out stupid report after non-informational report. Just want to keep you guys informed on what's going on in Metland so you're not taken by surprise that the Mets are trading or not or going to be signing a player. So let's just jump right into the first John Heyman report that came out today regarding Cody Bellinger. Now, it's no surprise. Cody Bellinger fits exactly what David Stearns wants to do. Run prevention, plays very good defense. You saw it at Citi Field last year when it came to Cody Bellinger, how he single-handedly won the Yankees a game at Citi Field with the play that he made in left with a great catch, like a shoestring type catch, and then gunning a guy out at first base for a double play. Cody Bellinger is a solid baseball, all-around baseball player. The Cody Bellinger that the Mets want is probably short-term, 3-4 years, probably not past 5. That's kind of the holdup with them in the Yankees right now. I think if the Yankees met him on his years, he'd be a New York Yankee right now. If something breaks by the time this video comes out, I do apologize, but this is the latest with Cody Bellinger. So we go to the report from John Heyman that he put out today. We love John Heyman, and right off the bat, guys, you see this report. I'm going to explain to you why this report came out. The Cubs checked, as per John Heyman, the Cubs have checked in on old friend Cody Bellinger. They're also known to be in touch with Alex Bregman, Bo Bichette, and other top players. Big shock, right, John Heyman? Big shock. The incumbent Yankees remain in talks with Bellinger. Their stated number one priority. The Mets, Dodgers, and Giants are also amongst the teams interested in Cody Bellinger. There is absolutely no surprise here. The Yankees are the number one priority for Cody Bellinger. The Mets are going to be a top target for Cody Bellinger because it's a position of need, and it's run prevention, which is exactly what David Stearns has been discussing. The Dodgers would be pretty interesting if he goes back to the Dodgers. The Giants are one of those teams that like to spend money once in a while. That maybe they become interested in getting Bellinger, but we go back to the report, that initial report of Bellinger. I believe he goes back to the Yankees. If you had to make me take a guess, I believe Cody Bellinger does go back to the Yankees. I believe they come to some sort of agreement. But I also see the Mets as a very, very viable threat to the Yankees in taking him and using his services in Queens because it's a position of need. The Yankees can recover from losing Cody Bellinger. The Mets can gain a very good baseball player by getting Cody Bellinger. That's the big difference here. Yankees can recover. They'll be fine. They lost Juan Soto last year, right? They got right back to the playoffs. Don't want to hear that they didn't win the World Series. I get it. They didn't win the World Series, whatever happened. They got right back to the postseason, won their 94 games after losing Juan Soto. They'll find a way to figure it out. The Mets need to get to the point where they're trying to figure out if they lose players like an Alonso, like a Diaz, like a Brandon Nimmo, how we can replace that productivity and get ourselves into the postseason every single season. Guys like Cody Bellinger do help that. Is Cody Bellinger the most consistent ball player out there? Absolutely not. His first 3 years broke on the scene, looked like one of the top 4 or 5 players in all of baseball. Everything started to trickle down after that. He revived his career when he went back to the Cubs, so you could see why there would be interest there. But getting Cody Bellinger on the Mets 100% makes them better defensively, just like Marcus Semien, just like having Francisco Lindor. And you have Cody Bellinger, I would assume, going to play center field. And up the middle, your defense is tremendous. That's what David Stearns is looking for in a player. What happens with the contract is a totally different argument. So I don't know what's going to happen in regards to Cody Bellinger. I think that's why he's still on the market. That's why a lot of these guys are still on the market. This is why I try to tell Mets fans not to panic so much, because a lot of these players are still available for a certain reason. It's not just David Stearns that's sleepy, because the Mets have been one of the most active teams this offseason. Take it for what it's worth. If you think it's negative stuff, I think it's more positive that we're doing what we're doing. But I'm a small percentage, so when the Mets are good, don't come crawling to me. Now I just want to hit into this next report regarding Edward Cabrera. Okay, Edward Cabrera of the Miami Marlins, the rival of the New York Mets. So it's going to be very tough to probably acquire a guy like this. But then again, I'm not going to be overexcited, if that's even a word. I'm not going to be that excited if the Mets acquire Cabrera because there's a lot of question marks when it comes to Edward Cabrera. The Mets and Cubs, there was a Florida reporter today that said the Mets and Cubs have expressed interest in Marlins starting pitcher Edward Cabrera. The Mets, Cubs, Yankees, Orioles, and Astros have been in contact with Edward Cabrera, and not Edward Cabrera, but the Miami Marlins. And that's the report that came out today regarding Edward Cabrera. So where I stand with him as a player, let's just look at the player aspect of this. Getting Cabrera at 27 years old, he still has 3 years of controllability left, so it's not going to be a cheap trade to acquire a guy like him. 2021, you look at him, he pitched 7 games, 14 games. 2022 is when he first started starting games, big time starting, like 20-plus games. He started 20 games in 2022, 20 games in 2024. Those seasons were not that good. And then in 2025, last year, he has 26 starts, pitched to a 3.53 ERA, 121 hits in 137 innings, struck out 150 batters in 137 innings, which is very good. What you're trying to do with Edward Cabrera here, you're trying to acquire Edward Cabrera for his upside. You're not trading for him for what he's done in the past, obviously. You're trading for that upside that he potentially can give you moving forward. I look at Cabrera as a possible upside for maybe a number 2 starter at his best. I don't see him ever becoming an ace of a staff. But when you look at pitching and you look at David Stearns and you look at what Mets fans have been complaining about most, it's been starting pitching. And getting a guy like Cabrera, what it's going to take to acquire him is probably going to make Mets fans just a little bit uncomfortable for a guy who's really only had 20-plus starts or 22, 23-plus starts one time in his career, right? 26 has been his most, which was last year. Are you really going to give up major assets, like major prospects? And I'm talking like your 5th, your 7th, and probably like another lower-level prospect after that to go get a guy who has 3 years of controllability left, who's only 27 years old, who you see the upside in, because it is a major risk to acquire a guy like that. This is not a Scooble, a back-to-back Cy Young winner where you know what you're getting once you acquire him, right? This is a guy where you're paying for his upside and you're taking a chance on his upside. And you're going to have to pay even more because you're going to have to pay the National League East tax, which the Marlins are not going to do the Mets any favors when it comes to trading for one of their high-end starters. That's why the Sandy Alcantara rumors from last year were a bit farce, because you just knew the Marlins weren't going to give him away for nothing. Whatever it takes to acquire a guy like Cabrera or a guy like Alcantara from the Marlins, you have to look at a trade. You have to just visualize it from a trade package perspective. If a team like the Yankees or a team like the Astros or Orioles or one of those other teams that are involved in the Edward Cabrera rumors, you're going to have to take their trade package and then you're going to have to add a little bit of sprinkles on top of it, because the sprinkles is going to be the tax that the Marlins are going to charge the New York Mets to try and acquire one of these said players. It's not just going to be, the Mets have the best trade. No. They're going to force the Mets to give them the best trade package. It's not going to be a favor. It's not going to be just give me 2 lower-level prospects. No, it's not going to work like that between those division rivals, especially since the Mets have become one of the highest-spending teams in baseball, and especially since the Marlins continue to be dumpster diving and trying to figure out why they don't spend money throughout baseball. So that's pretty much the latest stuff regarding Cody Bellinger and regarding Edward Cabrera. That stuff came out today. And we have nothing new on Kyle Tucker. We have nothing new on Alex Bregman. We have nothing new on Framar Valdez. I know this is a lot of stuff that's still out there. And unfortunately, we're all sitting here in lingo because in limbo. Is it limbo or lingo? Limbo. We're all sitting out here not knowing what's going on. And we could just do the guessing game after the guessing game and video after video, but it's not going to matter until these guys report stuff. And it just gives us something to talk about. It gives us something to predict. I do have a prediction video on the channel if you want to go check that out. I got a lot of Mets stuff. I've been posting every single day, trying to keep people informed. You know, you see a lot of stuff out there where people will say, oh, Mets closing in on so-and-so. I think those channels are very, 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 I don't want to say stupid, but I think that those channels are just trying to do certain things to get the clicks. I get it. I understand how this stuff works, but I want to make sure you guys are just informed on what's been going on in the rumor mill regarding the New York Mets, because David Stearns, contrary to popular belief, is a very active general manager trying to improve this team. The Mets have 6 or 7 roster slots still open. They could still trade a couple guys away. There's a lot to do with this offseason, and I love how it started so far. It's just the baseball season the offseason moves really slow, okay? If you guys got this far, please share, like, subscribe. It means the world to me that you guys are watching these videos. We are growing every day. Spring training right around the corner, 4, 5, 6 weeks away, however many it is. We're almost in the middle of January soon next week. So Mets baseball will be hot and heavy. Rumors are hot and heavy. And if something breaks before the video comes out, something breaks, and then that would suck. But let's go Mets.